Bismillah Rahman Rahim. So this is a mini series, verses of the Holy Quran related to the earth. So I am. This is part of a main series that is verses of the Holy Quran related to different subjects. So in this mini series, I have already presented two vlogs, and this is the third one. It is about the ecosystem of the earth. So let us begin with chapter 24, Surah Nur, verse 43. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَيُنَزِّلُ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مِنْ جِبَالٍ فِيهَا مِنْ بَرَدٍ فَيُصِيبُ بِهِ مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَيَصْرِفُهُ عَنْ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. Translation: And he sends hails from mountains of hails in the sky. This word mountain of hail in the sky, that is important. They fall at some places and do not fall on other places according to his will. So till recent times, it was thought that raindrops, they fall from the clouds in the form of rain, and on their way down towards the earth, they pass through a sub-zero zone and freeze to form hails. But Holy Quran, 1400 years ago, more than 1400 years ago, talked of mountains of the hails in the sky. So this is a totally different concept. The modern science has clarified this, the meanings of this verse. And it says that there are indeed mountains of hails within the high vertical cumulonimbus clouds that produce severe thunderstorms. Now, these clouds can be several kilometers in vertical length, up to 50 kilometers, 60 kilometers. They are so big. And this is what is mentioned in this reference by Brown T. Hale. Brown T, and it's Hale National Geographic Education National Geographic Society. So Mr. Brown, he describes it as that within cumulonimbus clouds, ice particles develop from supercooled water. Okay, the water which is present in those clouds, it due to low temperature, it turns into ice particles, and they start falling towards the bottom of the cloud from the pull of the gravity, because now they have become a bit heavier. But they are forced back up by powerful updrafts of air within the clouds. Now, within the clouds, there is wind which is moving from one side to another. So that throws these ice particles back to the upper parts of the cloud. And in those upper parts, again there is supercooled water which freezes on these ice particles in the form of another layer of ice. So their size is growing. So this happens repeatedly. And as a result, these small bits of ice grow larger and larger, becoming balls of ice, which we call hailstones. These hailstones, finally, their size becomes so much that they cannot be lofted back to the top of the cloud by those winds, and they start falling towards the earth. This is the modern description, that these hails, they are present in those clouds, mountains of hails, And this is not that raindrops, they freeze to form hails. So this is the diagrammatic description of what happens. So I will not go in the details I have already explained. Now next is chapter 30, Surah Rum, verse 24. وَيُنَزِّلُ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً فَيُحْيِي بِهِ الْأَرْضَ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهَا. Rain which enlivens the dead soil. It means rain which enlivens the dead soil. So, in fact, uh, this verse explains water cycle. And it was explained 1400 years ago. How it explains the water cycle, I will come to that. So, more than 1000 years later, after the revelation of the Holy Quran, Bernard Palissy, he was the first published thinker who said that only and only rain is sufficient for the maintenance of the rivers. No other factor is needed. And so the water from the river or other water bodies, it goes into the atmosphere and then comes back in the form of rain, and this cycle continues, and this is water cycle. And so he is credited with as discoverer of this modern theory of the water cycle. But his theory was not scientifically proved till 1674, and there was a study carried by Pierre Perrault who scientifically proved that what he said, that only rain is responsible for the formation of these rivers, etc., that is true. But still, many people did not believe it till the early 19th century when it was conclusively proved that water cycle theory is correct. So this water cycle theory, which is also called hydrologic cycle, it describes the continuous movement of water on, above and below Earth's surface, involving processes like evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and collection. So in this figure, this is, this described, and you can see that the water evaporates from the water bodies and then it condenses to form clouds. These clouds are transported by winds which add to the moisture of these clouds, and then they when their load becomes too much, it the excessive water starts falling in the form of rain. And those water bodies from which evaporation has taken place, they are refilled. And in this way, this water cycle continues. Next is chapter 51, Surah Az-Zariyat, verse 1 and 2. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Waz-Zariyati Zarwa. Falhamilati Vikra. Translation: Allah swears on the strong winds which give rise to clouds filled with water which are blown over great areas. So clouds, as I just mentioned, are formed when water vapor in the air condense into liquid water droplets or ice crystals. So these water-laden clouds that produce precipitation, this is a combined word for rain plus snow. They are of two types. Either they are nimbostratus or cumulonimbus. So, as these verses indicate, these strong winds play a significant role in the formation of these water filled clouds, which are so big in size, as I just mentioned, that their vertical thickness may be more than 50 kilometers. And it is primarily by influencing the movement and condensation of the water vapors. So, when wind encounters obstacles like mountains or fronts, it can be forced to rise. This upward movement of air causes it to cool, and if the air is moist enough, condensation occurs, forming clouds. So, here it is described that how the wind forms the clouds. Wind is rich when it becomes rich with the water vapors, and it strikes mountains or some other obstacle. It moves upward, and the atmosphere is much cooler, and there condensation occurs, and clouds are formed. So strong winds are the primary factor in the formation of rain-laden clouds. So these strong winds, particularly at higher altitudes, can move clouds across vast distances, influencing weather patterns and precipitation. We know that by satellite, every day we get weather forecast, and these clouds move over continents. So wind shear, that is difference in wind speed and direction at different altitudes, can affect the shape and structure of the clouds. So, in a sense, wind is a crucial factor in the atmospheric circulation that drives the water cycle and consequently cloud formation. So, it is amazing that how the Holy Quran described this phenomenon 1400 years ago. Because for a common man, wind is only responsible for the movement of the clouds, not their formation. And finally, chapter 31, Surah Luqman, verse 10. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Khalaqas samawati bighairi amalam tarawnaha. Translation: He erected skies without pillars. So, a layman's thinking is that we live in thin air and sky is the limit of our vision. So, why the Holy Quran says that this weightless atmosphere, because we don't feel any weight, it needs pillars to support it. If something doesn't have a weight, why it needs pillars? For example, a roof, it is heavy, so it needs pillars. So it was impossible to understand the meanings of this verse at the time of the revelation of the Holy Quran. But now modern science has explained this verse of the Holy Quran. So in this verse, the word sky, word sama is used, which means sky, and it means the atmosphere. Atmosphere, that is the gaseous envelope, which is 480 kilometers thick, with all the particulate material in it, has a combined mass of 5.5 quadrillion tons or 5.5 thousand trillion tons. Now 1 trillion, 1000 billions make 1 trillion, and 1 billion, 1 Arab in Urdu. So you can just imagine what is the weight of this gaseous envelope. And that is the reason that the weight of the atmosphere at a sea level is about 14.7 pounds per square inch. So we are carrying a weight of 14.7 pounds on per square inch of our body. And of course, nature has built us in such a way that we do not feel it. And if it is not there, we cannot survive. So Allah says that He has held all these materials suspended and they do not fall onto the surface of the earth in spite of the gravitational force. And there are no pillars to support this atmosphere. So without any support, this such heavy atmosphere, it doesn't fall on the surface of the earth. And a falling sky would mean, that is, if it falls, it means nearly 10 tons of molecules, that is roughly the weight of a school bus, would drop on every square meter of Earth's surface. Just imagine. So that was the end of today's vlog. And as I mentioned that I have already presented a mini series about the verses of the Holy Quran related to universe. And this was the second mini series, verses of the Holy Quran related to earth. And next will be about verses of the Holy Quran related to origin of life. My another series which is going on is events that shaped Islamic history. And I would repeat that after completion of some of my series, I am not starting any new series just because due to some occupation, professional occupation, it is difficult for me to find so much time. So currently only these two series are running and my vlog will be on uh, every Sunday. So no need to repeat how you can get to my YouTube channel. Allah Hafiz. Till the next vlog. Thank you very much for your time.